Today we're going to show you how to make a tasty comfort food, shepherd's pie. This recipe has two parts, the meat filling and the potato topping. For the meat filling we're going to use 1 pound of ground lamb, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 medium yellow onion, 2 teaspoons of parsley, 1 teaspoon of rosemary, 1 teaspoon of thyme, a half a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of pepper, a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, 2 cloves of garlic minced, 2 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, and 1 cup of frozen peas and carrots, and 1 cup of beef broth. For the potato topping, we're going to use 2 pounds of red potatoes, a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, a half a teaspoon of salt, 1 clove of garlic minced, 1/2 cup of butter or 1 stick of butter, 1/3 a cup of half and half, and a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, which I neglected to show in the ingredients. First, take the potatoes and cut them into 1-inch cubes, placing them into a pot. Once you've cut all the potatoes, fill the pot with water and start boiling the water. We want to boil them for about 15 minutes. And the meat mixture is going to take less time than that, so while we wait for the potatoes, I'm going to get started with the meat. For the meat mixture, start by putting the olive oil in the frying pan on medium heat and start dicing the onions. Once you've diced the onions, place them in the frying pan and cook them up for about a minute or two. Then add in the ground lamb, breaking the meat up as much as possible. Next, while the meat is browning, add in the parsley, the rosemary, and the thyme, mixing everything up really well as it cooks. After it's mostly browned, add in the salt and pepper, garlic, and Worcestershire sauce, and mix it up. Next, add in the tomato paste and the flour, being sure to mix it up really well. You don't want any clumps of flour or tomato paste. You want it to be mixed in thoroughly. Finally, add in the frozen vegetables and the beef broth. Reduce the heat to low and let it simmer for about 5 minutes. While the meat mixture is simmering, set the oven to bake at 400 degrees Fahrenheit and pull out a casserole dish for the shepherd's pie. My potatoes finished boiling while the meat was simmering, so I started by draining the water from the potatoes. But don't rinse the potatoes or the pot they were cooked in. Once you've drained the potatoes, you're going to put them back into the pot they were cooked in and let them sit for about a minute to allow the excess water to evaporate. Next, place a stick of butter in with the potatoes and add in the salt, pepper, garlic, and start mashing it up. While I waited for the butter to melt, I removed the meat mixture from the cooktop and added it to the casserole dish, smoothing out the mixture for an even top. Then, I went back to mashing the potatoes. Added in the half and half, and once they were mostly mashed, I also added in the 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese and continued mixing. Then started adding the potato mixture to the top of the meat mixture, being sure to smooth it out as I went. Once the oven's preheated, add the shepherd's pie to the oven. Once it's baked for 30 minutes, remove the casserole and let it cool for 5 to 10 minutes before serving. It turned out really well, and I really enjoyed the whole deal.